analysis using software, free software provided on internet that is TAGUETTE. So we're going to first to go to this software. You have only to type TAGUETTE on Google, and after going to the web page, it's possible to install this software in your computer, but we are going to work as directly in the web because it's also possible. So we go there, try it, and we have to log in order to have access to the program, to the software. So in this case, the first thing we have to do is to register. Here, it's possible to register. I have used a login that is for Harvest user. And an email that is the same for Harvest user at gmail.com. But anyway, it's already been created. So what we can do is directly to introduce our login. And our password that this has been previously defined. So we go in, and we are already in the software. So the first thing we have to do is to create a project. We have first to create a project. The project is the main unity in which all the materials you have in your research are put together. So we're going to create a hypothetical project that is going to be called Harvest project, and we have to introduce a brief description. For example, which is research about food sovereignty, resilience in Southeast Asia. Well, this is so we have a project and we have already created a project. In this project, for instance, we will have different, for instance, interviews or focus group or even graphical materials, picture, etc., that can be used for the analysis. In this sense, the first thing we have is to add documents, the different documents that are included in the project. For instance, if we have, for instance, 20 interviews, we have to introduce the transcription of the 20 interviews. This transcription can be, interview has to be made and have to be transcribed using the software that is available for that. And once we have all those elements, all transcripted, we have to introduce for making the context analysis. In our case, we have only to make an approve, a little demonstration, and we are going to add one document. But this is because it's because this is a class, and this is only to show how the software works. Because in real research, we have to put much more than one document. But anyway, we are working with one document. That is one interview I made some years ago. I think food sovereignty, but originally it was in Spanish. I have translated in order we can make the work here. So we have this document. I say again that as this document we will have, ideally we have to introduce probably 10, 15 interviews more in order to have a size of the sample that allow a good qualitative analysis. In this moment, after this, we say that we have in a moment there is a great solitude in the researchers, because you are in confront of the interviews and you have to decide how to learn, how to start to analyze this information. And in this sense, there are two elements that are essential. What is the definition of the quotation that you think that I'm more interesting at give you more information about the different phenomena you are studying. And in the second, and related with the definition of quotation, is also the classification of this quotation, or the relation of this quotation with the different codes. So we are going to identify some quotation and we have to assign some codes. For instance, well, we have here, and this is, we say, for instance, at the beginning, that she has also 2 hectares. 2 hectares, this is the size of the farm. So in this sense, we can choose this quotation. This is called in the program highlight. We can choose this highlight, and we can also at the same time to define a code that is a way for knowing exactly what we are talking about. In this sense, the code is going to be size of the font. So we are going to define a quotation and highlight at the same time. We have to develop a code that in the program is called a tag. Okay, so we have the quotation that is now in yellow, and we have the tag. You have also the tag. So we continue. So it's true that there are very theories about how to develop codes, and we have defended in one of the previous videos that the strategy we are going to follow is to try to develop, in the first approach, to try to develop the code that are closer as possible to the language of the interviewed person. So not very theoretical, but in general related with the way of thinking, the rationalities of the agents. So, but this is always sometimes complicated, and sometimes is after this first coding, using the languages of the interviewers, possibly in the second step is possible to develop a more theoretical coding. So anyway, we are going to follow here defining codes according, not very abstract codes, but codes according with the language and the rationality of people we have interviewed. And my doctor, we have here, we went and here for a long time in my life. We used to live in Puerto Rico. So we can say here, for instance, previous. We can say here previous. Living place. We're going to introduce here previous living place. So we can continue and say we claim it. So we can say here progress origin of the file, for instance, because it's from inheritance, and so on, and so on. So we can we can continue this process of coding and also of identification of quotation. So finally, this is a slow process. Anyway, so we're going to switch to this same project, but a little bit more developed. So it is originally in Spanish, but it doesn't matter because the way is the same. So in this case, we think that we have developed many highlights with many codes, with many tags. We have a very long size of a very long list of the different tags that they associated to the project, and we can see here also that some of the code, some of the tags are more frequent than the other ones. The program allow not only because we have different highlights, but the highlights sometimes have similar means. So signification, as they have similar signification, they could be included in the same code. As they can be included in the same code, there are codes that are more frequent than another, and they can show us what is the most important topic because they are topics that are repeated more time. So there is also a little accounting of the way of repetition of the different codes. So for instance, in the sense of cultivos, that is cropping system, we can see that there are 6, 7 different quotations. It means that the system of the cropping is a main element in the discourse of the interviewed person. Also, there is different quotation about cocoa. It means that cocoa as principal cropping has a very important role in the discourse of the analyzed person, and so on. So this is the things the program allow a easy identification of codes and also of the quotation associated with codes, and this is what it offers essentially. However, there is no possibility of establishing relationships between codes, and this is one of the main inconveniences of this software because it's limited in the sense of the analysis it can provide. And I say this is one of the main problems associated with. As we see with other commercial software, there is no possibility of establishing one relationship between codes because there is no possibility of making graphics, and this is a very important limitation referring the kind of analysis can be made. Anyway, it's a free software and it's offered all these possibilities of analysis for free. So anyway, finally, we can continue. This is only a little demonstration, but a real project. We have a lot of documents and analyzes. I mean that it means that the highlights will be much more, and the repetition with the different tags will be also making much more. But anyway, finally, if you want to make an analysis and you want to make like a synthesis of the final result of TAGUETTE, after this analysis, we can export some of the results of the project. Particularly, you can export the project as a whole. No, this is particularly interesting for using if you move. But what is more interesting probably is that you can export the code book. That is the main information that gives you the project. We are going to show here this one. And in our case, it will be limited because it's only an example, and we can find that this is, in this case, how the code book has been exploited. Well, and this is essentially what we can make. We can make with this software that is called TAGUETTE. So thank you very much for your attention, and we continue with the course in other videos.